I don't actually know what this movie's about. Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So, that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Straight Outta Compton. This is the next movie in our end of the month movie week, celebrating Black History. And I know this movie is like a big movie for that. I know vaguely that it centers around a rap group called NWA, and that's literally all I know about this movie. I don't know NWA as a group. Like, I know of them, I know they exist. I don't think I've ever heard any of their music, at least not knowingly. I don't know who's in NWA. I don't know, like, if I'll recognize any of the names. I don't know, I guess, by that level who's in this movie. I don't know if the actual NWA members are. I don't know if it's actors portraying them. I don't know. I don't know what the actual plot is about at all. I assume Compton is a place. I am this blind on this movie. I don't even know what fucking Compton is. It's got to be a city or something. Just, I don't know where it would be. New York, maybe? Sounds like it could be like in New York. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. All I know is that this movie had a meme going around on it, like a insert your own kind of meme thing. It was a template. That's what I'm looking for. It was a meme template for a while going around, where it's like it would be straight outta, and then you add the third word and like some kind of like black and white version of a picture, and it was like it was just this thing going around for a little while. Most of the time, like the people doing it just are like just dorking around and being dumb. There were a lot of nerdy ones, like people like saying like different fictional locations, like Hyrule from The Legend of Zelda, or I don't know, the Kanto region from Pokemon. Stuff like that. And like that doesn't tell me anything about the actual film. But like I said, I know that this film is like very steeped in Black history and Black culture. I do know that much. I don't know like all the details, but I was requested this movie from Venom, and I felt like this was probably a really good time to get to it. With us doing this theme for the movie week, so I don't really have anything else to say because, like I said, I don't know anything really going into this. Um, I'm hoping to enjoy it. It's a longer movie too. It's over 2 hours long. Um, Not that that really matters too much, but I guess we should just get into this and find out what it's about. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I briefly looked up some differences between the movie and real life and all, because it's a movie. There has to be some creative liberties taken. Very few movies that are based on a true story are entirely accurate, and it seems like, from what I gathered, it's mostly accurate with a few little things here and there that are just kind of either switched around, a couple things are left out, stuff like that. But the general basis for the film seems to be pretty accurate. With a lot of the events having actually happened, maybe like some of them were at like different locations in some cases, but it seems like, again, it was mostly accurate. Now, going into this, like I had said in the pre-thoughts, and for those of you watching on Patreon, I had said at the beginning of the reaction, I went into this not knowing much of anything. I didn't even know like who was in NWA. I didn't know it was Ice Cube. I didn't know it was Dr. Dre. And there's a lot of the a lot of the people in this I really didn't know, like Eazy-E. So it's a matter of a lot of this was new information to me. And I'm going to judge this not based on like how real it was, how much it connects to the real story and the real people and all. I'm judging this based on the movie and based on what the movie is saying, what the movie showcases, what the movie discusses with its themes and ideas, and just how it portrays all of this through the lives of these people as a film. And I think this movie was honestly phenomenal. For being, what is it? With credits, if I look here on VLC, with credits, it's 2 hours and 46 minutes. And that's pretty crazy. That's a long movie. I knew it was over 2 hours. I didn't know it was that long. I thought it was like maybe 2 hours, 20 minutes or something, but no. It was a long movie, and it was telling this long story. And I feel like there were parts of it where I felt like it was slogging a little bit, where it felt like it was a little like slowed down. But that was few and far between. And by the end, it's like I realized why they chose to end where they did. Why they chose to like close it out at the point they did. With Eazy-E's death from AIDS. With Dre leaving Death Row to form his own label, and just all of the artists of NWA kind of moving on to do their own thing. But having, reconciled after their initial falling out and having found peace with where they're going to be going in the future. And obviously, there's a lot of names in this that we know made it massively huge. Tupac, Snoop Dogg, even the ones like that who were not the main characters. But you have Dre, who's one of the biggest names out there. You have Ice Cube, who not only made it big in rap, but also made it big as an actor, which we actually get to, see and hear about multiple examples within this film of that. Talking about Friday and whatnot, which again I have not seen. But these are real people, and the way that they're portrayed here, I think, shows so much of their humanity, shows so much of who they are. And I think the casting was obviously fantastic, but especially having Ice Cube's actual son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., portraying his father, I think was obviously the perfect choice. He looks a lot like his father, not exactly the same. There's notable difference, but he looks a lot like him to where portraying him makes sense. And it feels like he got a grasp for kind of who his father is in how he portrayed it here. There's a lot of little almost cameos, with Lakeith Stanfield, who I think has just become a bigger name since this movie came out. And then you have Paul Giamatti in a pretty massive role, which by the way, apparently the real guy, the real manager, sued over the movie's portrayal of him, and apparently there was a lot that was supposedly taken from his autobiography, he claimed. And so, yeah, he apparently did not like how the movie portrayed him. Which, considering, he was the bad guy in a lot of ways, then, yeah, I mean, I guess you wouldn't like having that aired out. But the movie basically just is the chronicle of a group of friends from Compton getting their shot, making it big, and all of the positives and negatives of being in that kind of industry, and everything they've had to deal with in terms of police corruption and abuse, all of the shit they've had to deal with getting their albums and their music out there, despite a lot of people trying to ban it and stop them from singing certain songs at concerts. All of this stuff, dealing with a manager who was taking advantage of all of them, even his favorite. It's a lot of stuff that just really makes these characters come alive. It makes them feel like they're real people going through these struggles, these hardships. And you connect with them. You feel for them for having to go through with this shit. When Ice Cube chooses to leave behind everything else because he realizes he's being taken advantage of, he realizes that he's being mistreated, I sided with him almost instantly because he was right. And it makes a point of saying he was right. Dre and Eazy-E eventually realize that Cube was the right one in that argument, in that falling apart. And again, they do get back together in the end. They do reconnect. So it's one of those things where it almost feels like the movie is trying to make you, at least at first, see Cube as being a little unreasonable. But again, I never really saw it that way. I felt like he was the one who was in the right there, because at first Jerry seemed cool. Jerry seemed like he was pretty cool at first. Like he was standing up for them against the racism and everything that they would face, the police brutality. But the fact that he wasn't giving any contracts to anyone else besides Eazy-E, and it just kept like being like pushed back over and over. It started to give like this bad taste in your mouth. And so you definitely understood that, yeah, there was something fishy going on there. So it made sense. Um and then you had like Suge as an also sort of antagonist in this, kind of like almost taking advantage of the fame, the money, the popularity, everything that he and Dre made with Death Row, and also kind of being a bit of a psycho at times. Like seriously, like assaulting the one dude for parking in his spot. Like what? That was that was crazy, right? Like even Dre was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And then whatever the fuck was happening in the lobby of the label and everything, with the one guy they were forcing to toast and whatnot and sicking the dog on, that was insane too. Um, it's it's a movie that really, because it is based on a true story, feels very authentic and intense because of it. Because to some degree, these events happened. While watching this, that, like, to some degree, real people went through all of this stuff. And considering a lot of it focuses on, how black people are treated by the media, by the police, by just, common people out there, you see just a bunch of random citizens, like, stomping and burning their CDs and stuff. And they had a good attitude about it. It's like, hey, they still bought them, right? It's a good attitude to have, but it still shows a lot of ignorance in the world, especially coming from, white people. And I'm saying this as a white person. I know the privilege I was born with on that. And I know what white people have, said and done, and how they've treated black people throughout history. It's atrocious. It's fucked up. And movies like this that showcase that, and that, have music with lyrics that discuss that kind of stuff, are important. Because we need to talk about that constantly. Again, when the Black Lives Matter protests happened, when all of that was like going really strong, like that was something that needed to happen, that needed to be shared around, that needed to be, you know, constantly in the headlines. Because this shit needs to stop. This racist ass bullshit needs to stop. And we're in 2026. The events of this movie took place in like the 80s and early 90s and all. We're in 2026. And this shit still happens. And it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be happening 30 plus years later. I mean, it should have never happened at all, but it definitely shouldn't still be happening. The fact that the Black Lives Matter protests happened, like 6 years ago, it's like that's too recent for shit like this to have to go down. But again, it did have to go down. Now, on top of not knowing a lot of the people who were depicted in this, I also mentioned like I didn't really know any songs from NWA, or at least I thought I didn't. As noted in the reaction, I do know the song "Fuck the Police." I've heard it many times, and honestly, it's a song that I fully agree with the message of. Like all cops are bastards, and like with the amount of horrific racist abuse that they've perpetuated over the years, over the decades, over pretty much the entire existence of the police force. It's like the American police system is fucked beyond belief and needs to be dismantled. It just does. And this movie very much showcases why. That song very much showcases why. That song is a generational track that is, unfortunately, again, still relevant today as it was when it was first, released. And we need to be carrying that kind of spirit into the real world with us. No matter who we are, we need to stand up for the rights of people of color. And it's not even an agree to disagree thing. It's either you're standing up for the rights of people of color or you're a piece of shit. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about this. You can't just hold yourself back or try not to cause trouble or some shit. If you're just refusing to take part in this kind of stuff because you're afraid of retaliation, you're afraid of what's going to happen, or you're just not very outspoken, quote unquote, that's not a fucking excuse. I'm not outspoken. I'm a very timid and shy individual in real life. And I would never use that as an excuse to not stand up for the rights of people of color. Because it's an absolutely shitty ass thing to do, to use that as an excuse there. It's just, especially in the world we live in, especially in the country we live in, for those who do live in America. This, again, is not something that can be debated. There's a lot of people out there who will say, oh, but they're making it a one way or the other issue. It's either us or them. And it shouldn't be an us against them issue. It's yes, it absolutely should. Some things in this world are that straightforward. And when it comes to racism, it's that straightforward. You're either, give me a second here. You're either fighting for equal and equitable rights for all people, regardless of the color of their skin, but especially for those who have been consistently mistreated throughout history. Or you're not. And if you're not, honestly, fuck you. You're not just on the wrong side of history. If you're not fighting for and supporting the rights of people of color, you're a bad person. Again, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. It is that straightforward. It is not a debate. And again, I, as a white person, cannot even begin to know everything that everyone is going through who suffers from this kind of racism. Because I'm white. I've never experienced this. I have that privilege. And this isn't comparable. This isn't the same kind of thing as anything I might suffer as a trans person or, just a queer person in general. It's an entirely different kind of discrimination. And so I'm not even going to try comparing it on that because it's not comparable. I recognize my privilege and recognize that I was born into a skin color that makes me less likely to be, treated poorly by the police. That makes me less likely to be living in extreme poverty. and so on and so forth. I'm so privileged just because I'm white. And that means that I especially need to make that point clear and stand up for those who don't have that privilege. And I think, honestly, I think everyone should see this movie. But especially white people should absolutely see this movie. Because it can teach you so much about how this world treats those who aren't white, how it treats those who are black, especially. This movie and the themes and everything it talks about are essential. I would consider this film to be essential cinema. And I think that the messages of it are things that just absolutely need to be said, even today in 2026. So, yeah. This movie, like, going into the theme for this week's movie, or this month's movie week, even not knowing what this movie was, like, specifically about, I have heard people talk about this movie as one of the most important films for black culture ever. And again, I can't speak on that. That's not my place. But I can acknowledge that this movie is important. And it's something that I am glad to have watched. I am very happy to have seen. Because it opened my eyes to a lot of things that have happened. Again, real life incidents. And has just made me that much more willed to fight for the rights of those who are denied them more often than not. So let me know in the comments below, what did you think of Straight Outta Compton? Let me know your thoughts on the themes, the messages, the acting portrayals, the music, all of it. And thank you, as always, so much for tuning in. But we're not done. We've still got more reactions to come for this monthly movie week of Black History. We've got 3 more movies throughout this week that we've got to take care of. And so we'll just keep on going. We'll see. You'll see what the next one is as it comes out tomorrow. And for now, thank you so much once again. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.